So you join me back in the little Vauxhall Corsa, or shall I say for the first time perhaps in the Vauxhall Corsa when it comes to driving it. We have pretty much finished, guys. We are taking it for its little test drive now, just up through Liskeard. It's taking probably around about a week to 10 days to get everything the way it should be, get the new wing on, the new wheel, the headlight, everything else. It wasn't quite as easy as I was hoping it would be. I'm hoping you've seen the other videos. If you want to see the whole series, as it were, then check the playlist. I'll stick them in periodically throughout this video as well for you. But as you can see, we are in and we are driving, which is always a bonus. And that means we are pretty much done. So what's it like to drive one of these little Vauxhall Corsas? If you know anything about the channel, you'll know we've actually already done, I think, 2, maybe even 3 of the older Vauxhall Corsas. I think it's a couple now, actually. But this is the newest Vauxhall Corsa we've done. And it's interesting to compare what it's like to the older models in that respect. It drives really nicely, actually, I have to say. For a little 1.2 basic 5-door family hatchback car, it drives really, really nicely. I've got no complaints whatsoever in that regard. It's smooth, it's comfortable, the suspension is nice, it's pretty quiet. As I said, considering it is just a little 1.2 Vauxhall, it's quieter than you might imagine. It's not going to be the most powerful car you'll ever drive, that's for sure, but that's not who this car is marketed at. It's not who it's aimed at. It's aimed more for the newer drivers, maybe a young mum and her family, being that it's the 5-door, of course. I mean, it's irrelevant whether it's the 5 or the 3-door, because obviously if you buy a 1.2 Corsa, it's going to have the same engine pretty much, petrol-wise anyway. But so far, I'm pretty impressed. It's not a terrible place to be. I've been in much worse cars. I mean, I did the Ford KA, and that was a bloody awful car. Compared to this, it's night and day. This is far superior feeling. The plastics are solid. There's no kind of wobbly knobs, to coin a phrase. Everything is as it should be in a car. Everything feels tactile and nice. You know, the stereo's half decent. It's got aircon. It's got steering wheel controls. I've noticed it probably needs the tracking sorting out because it's over by a couple of millimeters, but I'm so bloody pedantic about these things that chances are no one else will ever bloody notice. If it does become an issue, I'll get it done. It's only 30 quid. We're going to zip on to the A38 just for a little kind of motorway example, as it were, because as you can see, we've been round Liskeard, so I may as well take you on the motorway and then we can talk about what it feels like there and some facts and figures. So, facts and figures, what is it all about? Well, basically, I think, as I said in the opening video to this series, these tend to go for around about 4 grand from dealers. But the funny thing is, the 5-door seems to be going for far more than the 3-door. Don't quite understand why that is, but 4 grand should get you a 2013-ish with about 70, 80, 90,000 miles, and that's the 3-door. But for a 5-door, with 70 to 80,000 miles, you're looking at a dealer 4995, something around about that kind of mark, which you're looking at 5 grand, which does surprise me, I have to say. I mean, I'm lucky that this is, of course, the 5-door, but I'm not going to put it up at crazy money. As I said in the beginning of this, the plan was to put it up at 2995. I think it's worth that all day long, purely because it's got a full service history. It's got a brand new MOT with no advisor. I forgot to mention that, by the way. We picked it up yesterday from the MOT station. It passed with flying colours, no advisories whatsoever. So we're now doing 60 miles an hour on the A38, 2,500 revs in 5th gear, and it feels like any other little car, basically. Although it feels more, as I said, robust. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but it feels quite solid underneath me, and that's quite impressive. Far better than the Yaris or the Ford KA, or cars of a similar kind of standard, as so to speak, little 1.2 hatchbacks. This feels much, much nicer, much more roomy as well. I mean, I'm 6 foot and I fit in here really, really nicely. Electric windows, of course, air conditioning's on, everything is as it should be. I've got no complaints whatsoever. The only complaint, and it's not really a complaint, it's an observation, is the road tax was a bit of a surprise. I expected it to be equivalent to most 1.2s of a certain age, shall we say. I mean, my neighbour's got a 1.2, no, sorry, she's got a 1.4 diesel Fiesta, 2006, and she pays £30 a year road tax. This is £150 a year, so 5 times what she pays, and hers is puking out all sorts of bloody disgustingness because being a really old diesel, and this not so much, but you get penalised, and I don't really understand why that is. I'll never quite understand the road tax system in this country, if I'm honest, but there it is. So £150 a year road tax, you're looking around about 50 miles to the gallon combined, which I think is okay for a little 1.2, 50 miles to the gallon. I can live with that. Insurance group 6, I believe, on this, so it should be pretty good for most people. Running costs, of course, being that it's a 10-year-old Vauxhall, is going to be minimal. I mean, the parts for these cars are just ridiculously cheap. They don't get much cheaper, truth be known. So overall, I think it was a good buy. I think it's a nice little car, and I think it's well worth the 2,995 that I'm going to be asking for it. I should ask more, really, truth be known, but I'm not going to be greedy. It didn't take me long. You know, I'll make a nice little drink out of it and move on to the next one, basically. Maybe it'll subsidise some of the loss I'm going to make on the Ducati Multistrada, because that's turned into a bit of a nightmare. I hope you've seen the videos on that. But that's pretty much it for this part of this video. We're going to get out in a second and I will show you around the car and explain to you what we've done. I may even stick in a picture of what it was like, but I mean, as I said, if you want to see this series, as it were, on the Vauxhall Corsa, refer back to the playlist on this and you'll see what it was when it arrived. And well, as I said, get out in a second and I shall show you around the car one final time, talk to you about what's happened, how much it cost, all that kind of stuff, and do a final outro, as it were, because that is pretty much it, as I said, for this little Vauxhall Corsa. It's been with us 2 weeks. It took about a week, really, I suppose, waiting for parts and stuff, but time-wise, I think it took under 2 days to do it, and that was just purely because of the hidden damage. Again, we've done a whole video on the hidden damage that we found behind the wing when we took that off. That was a bit of a surprise, but it wasn't a disaster totally. Anyway, I'm waffling. Let's get out of this car, and I will park it up, and I will show you around it, and close out this last video on the beautiful 2013 Vauxhall Corsa. So here she is, guys, the 2013 Vauxhall Corsa D that came into us around about 2 weeks ago, truth be told. So probably about 10 days actually. And as you can see, everything is as it should be. The big dent that was over here is gone. The wheels back on it the way it should be. The little fog light covers back the way it should be. And the headlights in. And as I said previously, it's just come out of its MOT as well. And I think you've got to say that looks pretty stunning, doesn't it? That little join here, the little seam line there, isn't perfect. But you've got to remember this has had a bit of a clunk at the front, so therefore it's never going to go back into shape 100% unless you change literally everything at the front, including the bumper, which wasn't necessary in my opinion. But as you can see, it looks pretty stunning. There are no marks around this car that I can find, apart from a couple of tiny little things on that wing mirror, which I think you would expect on a 10-year-old car. The back of it, I don't know if you remember, but there was a couple of little marks on the back bumper. They've all gone. We bought a back parcel shelf as well. As you can see, that's in there now. So that was 35 quid, I think, something like that. But she's polished up absolutely beautifully. And of course, the first thing that happened, it was one of the local birds took a great big dump on it, which, you know, is always nice. But that's it, guys. That has been the project on the little Vauxhall Corsa D that we bought in for, oh, I think it was about 1,800 and something quid. We spent a few hundred quid on it. I believe it owes us around about 2,250 quid, something like that. But that does include all the parts, the MOT, everything basically. And I think 2,295 is a bargain price for this little car. It drives beautiful, it looks beautiful. It's got a full service history, it's got a proper remote key, and it's got a brand new MOT. What more could you ask for? I'd love to know your opinions on this little car as well, guys, so drop that in the comments if you would. But I think it's turned out absolutely stunning. That little mark you can see just here is a bit of a fly, I think, something like that. But as you can see, that is a stunner. If you have enjoyed this little video series on the Corsa, please consider subscribing. Give the video a like, a share, thumbs up, all that kind of good stuff. It really, really helps. Takes you a second, and it means the absolute world to me. And don't forget, we are also on TikTok now, and we have the Instagram page where we do a lot of kind of stuff that we put on there that we don't show in videos. You know, maybe if I buy something I'm going to do something with, it'll go on Instagram or TikTok first, and then I'll make a video. So if you want a bit of a heads up, as it were, follow me on TikTok and Instagram, Facebook. We've got a page there as well, and obviously subscribe to the channel. It's just below your fingertips now. Press that subscribe button, give the video a like, a share, a thumbs up, all that kind of good stuff, and we will catch up next week on Budget Cars and Bikes with a brand new project maybe. We'll wait and see. All right, guys, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed the series. Take care now.